Thomas to Enterprise?
Go ahead, Lieutenant.
Captain, I believe that we finally found it.
Could it really be? After all this time?
Yes, sir. I think it's finally time that we can say it.
Welcome to the Swords to Podcast.
Welcome back to the Swords to Podcast. My name is Thomas.
My name is Adam. And today we are going to be going over all of our favorite moments and just a general recap of all of our experiences at MagicCon Atlanta. One of the first things we're going to do is we're going to shout out some of the guys that we got to meet. So we got to meet up with Sideboard Therapy, Max the Gathering, the guys from Play to Win, Goblin Grounds, and Unplayable MTG. All of their links will be in the description. Please check out all their stuff. All of it's far better than ours. Give those guys a watch. Give those guys a listen. We're gonna be going over some of the things that we got to do this weekend. Some of our favorite events, our favorite moments, and just we're also going to go over some of the cards that were revealed at the con while we were there. So we're just going to get straight into that.
Yeah. One thing I'll say too, just going off of our shout outs, is thank you to everybody else too that just really made the weekend so memorable, as you guys are about to hear us kind of recap. So let's, on that note, start off with Adam. What is your favorite moment if you had to pick one from the whole weekend? I know it's hard to choose, but if you had to pick one, your absolute favorite moment.
I would say it was when the Star Trek set got revealed. So we got to go to the preview panel on Saturday, sort of mid-afternoon, where they revealed all the new sets coming in 2026. And the very last one that's coming in November was one that we had seen unconfirmed spoilers for, that no one really believed was actually happening, because everybody thought that maybe those leaks were from the Edge of Eternity set that got released this year. But when I heard the Star Trek theme, or maybe that's the USS Enterprise theme song, and I look over at Thomas to see
original series theme,
the original series theme, and I look over and I see Thomas's mouth probably 6 inches from top to bottom wide open. I'm like, yeah, I knew he would be this excited, and I'm excited. I'm excited for the set too as well. But just looking over at Thomas and seeing how excited he is, he's a very big Star Trek fan, so that was probably my favorite moment.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, Adam, you kind of took the words right out of my mouth there. I'm gonna remember that one for a long time too. I was starting to lose hope there a little bit, after we didn't get the secret layer for Edge of Eternities, even after we saw that Spock test card, and I just thought, maybe it was never meant to be. But then, little did I know, not only we're getting an entire set, it's covering every single series, original series up through all the recent stuff. I am just over the moon, and it still barely even feels real. So since you took my answer, if I have to pick one, I would say that my favorite moment was when we were walking up to do our secret layer spectacular. We still really didn't know what it was. We walk over to our play area, and there's I don't even know how many tables there were, but there was 300 play mats sitting there across all these tables.
650.
And they all had, is that how many it was?
650.
So 650, damn, that's wild. So 650 play mats with a little fish on it, a little fish. And then that's when we kind of put it all together, that it was the Dan secret layer. It came with those beautiful mats that we showed on the Instagram over the weekend, and I just remember, just getting excited, and then once we got into it, it was 7 rounds of Dan back to back, which we will talk about in a little bit. But it's it was so awesome to go just to see how many they had sitting out there.
It was just a sea. It was just a sea of blue play mats and with white flowers and the orange and white koi fish. I mean, it was a sight to behold. And we missed the part of the secret lair reveal party where they actually said that the event was going to be Dan. So most people that were in that panel knew that it was going to be Dan the day before. And according to some other players that we talked to, apparently the event filled up with participants overnight because people heard about the event that it was actually going to be, and they were going to get access to the Dan Dan secret lair.
I heard it also got leaked, like, or people figured it out like a year
Yeah,
ago,
supposedly
maybe a couple months ago.
supposedly what happened was the event got leaked on, or it got previewed on the companion app, and the words "forgetful fish" were part of it somewhere, and they put two and two together and just determined it was Dan Dan. But that was definitely, that was one of my probably top 5 moments of the con, just getting to see that and like put it together, like, oh my gosh, we get to play Dan Dan, this is awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, other than that, Adam, we got the big one out of the way. Do you have any other just kind of thoughts just after the whole weekend? I know it's still fresh. Just anything in general, just from any of the 3 days.
I'm just glad we got to meet so many cool people. Like, obviously we got to meet all the creators, and all that was great, and get to go to the Play to Win podcast live, but just being able to meet so many people, and even talking to vendors at their booths, and talking to just other people at the con, everyone was so friendly. I mean, I'm sure most Magic players can relate that, when you meet someone, out in the real world that plays Magic, it's like an exciting moment that you share this passion with them. And so every single person at this con that you met shared that passion. And so it was just like being in heaven, where everyone that I talk to knows exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about Magic the Gathering. And that was really, really awesome. Like, I can't stress enough how cool that is to just, these tens of thousands of people in this big room all share one passion. It's just so powerful.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that most of the people that came, showed out whichever days. It kind of felt like the cream of the crop almost. It's like I knew like Magic players are friendly, and it's like you said, something shared that we can always enjoy. But out in the real world, going to the game store once, twice a week, everyone's got stuff going on in their lives. Sometimes it might not be in the best mood, whatever's going on. But we were there 3 straight days, nothing else to worry about. Left all the baggage at home and just went to play Magic. And there wasn't a single person there you couldn't just walk up, have a conversation with, and it really was just amazing. I think that was my favorite part. Is I don't think there was a single person that I met that I didn't sit there and talk to for 20 minutes about who even knows what. It really was amazing. And on top of that, I didn't realize how cool a lot of the other people that were there too were. Like the artists, the original Dan Dan artist. I actually got him to sign all the cards in my personal Dan Dan deck, and he was the funniest dude. And I'm sure, Adam, you met even more artists than I did. And on top of that, just a bunch of the creators. It's you always think that some people kind of play like a character online or whatever, but really it isn't. It's just they're all just normal people.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely got to meet a lot of artists, and one of the benefits to us, we brought this large bag of 3D printed dice to give out to people, and so every time that I had any artists commission any work or sign any of my cards, I gave them a die, and quite a few of the artists loved it. And Vincent Proce even gave me a pack. I gave him one die, and he reached under the table and pulled out a full sealed pack of, I think, Commander Masters or something. And I'm like, wow, okay, I didn't expect that, but thank you. Like, so many people were just so great and so welcoming. It was such a good time.
And the ambiance too. They had a lot of, I mean, over half the hall was just tables, but they had a lot of really cool, booths set up, cool like photo ops. I got a lot of just random B-roll footage of it just walking around, which was a lot of fun for me. Even though, Adam, I know you were making fun of me the entire first day for carrying around my gimbal, but you have to admit that it did come in handy a couple times. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was worth it.
Yeah, I kind of had the same thoughts. It was a lot of fun, but there were 2 very specific things that we went to go do, which I know we previewed, but now we can kind of say how it actually went. So we did our 2 ticketed events, right? Mystery Booster 2 was Friday, and then we obviously talked a little already about that Dan Secret Lair Redacted. So, Adam, do you want to go over? I mean, what was your record? What did you build? What did you think of the event? Do both of them.
Yeah, so the first event, the Mystery Booster 2, sorry for you YouTube people seeing me on my phone. I have to look up the card that I used. Or no, I guess I could just always look through the deck. But so I ended up building so for Mystery Booster 2, we got what, six packs of Mystery Booster 2,
Yeah,
and
six sealed.
And we were allowed to use all the cards, including the playtest cards in the pack, to build a 40 card sealed deck, as with most like pre-release type stuff. And I ended up building my deck around the card Lightning Skelemental. I ended up building a full Grixis control shell, but it was mainly centered around a few cards, mainly reanimating this Lightning Skelemental, which is 1 black and 2 red for a 6/1 elemental skeleton with trample and haste, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, that discards 2 cards, and at the beginning of the end step, sacrifice this creature. So I had a card that was essentially a 4 mana enchantment. I think it was not Recurring Nightmare, but it was a Diabolic Servitude, maybe? Diabolic Servitude, which is effectively a 4 mana enchantment that allows you to reanimate a creature, and then whenever the creature dies, you bring back Diabolic Servitude to your hand. So in Limited, it was a great card because I could just keep discarding these threats with other cards in the deck and then reanimating them with this one enchantment. But unfortunately, I didn't have quite enough discard support. I found it kind of hard to get those threats into the graveyard, so I only went 1 and 2. But I did have a blast. All of my games were pretty much a fight to the death. So each of my 3 rounds, I ended up at least winning one. So the first round, the first round that I lost, I still won a game. So I went 1 and 2, 2 and 1, and then 1 and 2. Basically, I had to play 3 matches the whole time. I never got 2 and 0 just because the deck was so kind of scrappy, and if the opponent gave up a little bit of tempo, I kind of got there. But that was my both of our first experiences with Mystery Booster 2, and that was a blast. And then in the Dan event, I ended up going, I believe, 4 and 3. But I will say some of the players that I got to meet during that event were really cool. Obviously there were mixed feelings about how much they enjoyed Dan, and also mixed levels of experience. Like there were players that had played Dan for years and years, and then there were some that heard about it the morning of the event. But 4 and 3 winning record, I'll take there, because there were a lot of tickets to be made during that event. But Thomas, I think, did just a little better than me.
Well, I do have one, so I spent a lot of time, researching cards for it and building my personal list. So I think it did help a little bit. I went 5 and 2 at that Dan event, and I will still say that the second game that I lost, that was because there was a bad seed planted in my brain. A bad egg came up and told me about this special strategy. I should have never listened. To that guy. A word of advice for any of you guys looking to get into Dan. He'll play islands. Play islands to play Dan. Don't try and get cute. Don't try and get cute with it. Or else it'll come back to bite you when you don't realize that a Mystic Sanctuary is actually an island. So, that was a lot of fun. But anyway, yeah, Dan was so awesome. The pre-constructed deck, I personally didn't love it. There were a couple of cards, obviously, I have in my personal one. I built mine pretty straightforward, trying to keep it close to the original. But there were some cards I didn't really like that much, but, I made it work. And the art on the ones that they did for the actual set, half of them are like just old border, but like the new like secret layer art, so beautiful on all those cards. On the Dan, the memory lapse, the accumulated knowledge, and like 2 or 3 more. It was really nice. But that event was awesome for sure. But the Mystery Booster 2, I think that what I ended up building was, I like to call it Rakdos bad stuff. So I pulled a wish, which lets you 2 in a red play a card you own from outside of the game. I think you just put it in your hand. Yeah. Or you can play it this turn, whatever it does. I misunderstood how that card worked. Didn't really matter in the first round because I didn't get to use it. But then we discussed it, and then I realized that you can only play a card from your sideboard. And then we had another argument about it because somebody else was coming up and saying, no, you actually can play whatever you want. So I was like, oh, this is going to be so cool. I can, grab a card out of my CEDH deck, and it's going to be so awesome. But that was not the case. I'm still not convinced. I'm like 95% sure that that's true. But, it's not like I'm ever going to use that card again. It was still a lot of fun. So I kind of built around that. It was kind of the opposite of Adam's deck, from what I remember. My deck was filled with ways to put stuff in a graveyard, but I didn't really have anything to bring them back. And then I think, Adam, yours was a bunch of ways to bring them back, but not a lot to put them in, right?
Yep.
So, yeah. I ended up going 1, 0, and 2, so I tied in 2 rounds. So you can imagine how grueling that was, but it was like actually so fun. The third round, I'll be honest, I had to force the tie, but that's kind of an accomplishment, itself, that I could keep up with the dude who had some better pools. My big chase though was that foil lotus petal, which I immediately sold the next day. So, but it was a lot of fun to play with. Those were our events. I also loved it because those test cards, I didn't get to play any, but then when I was opening more Mystery Booster 2, I sat there and I was just reading test cards, and Adam knows I was showing him a bunch. I'm like, imagine how cool this would have been to play in Limited. They have some really cool cards there, and maybe some of them will find their way in a one way or another to a main set. So other than just those sealed events, Adam, how about just general games? How many did you get to play, and how did they go? Because in general, from what I've heard before going into the weekend, is you play a lot less games than you actually expect, with everything else going on.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well, and it was definitely true. The only casual game I got to play was with you, as well as with Unplayable MTG. But that was in the lobby of our hotel Thursday evening, right after we flew in. So we flew in, we all went to our rooms, showered, and then immediately came downstairs ready to play. And we grabbed some people and got a game in. And then we got to play 4 total games of CEDH, one of which with Sideboard Therapy, and then the other 3 with other people that we met in the command zone while we were in that area of the con. I ended up going 4-1 total. I won the casual game barely, and then I went 3-1 on Plagon playing CEDH. So I'm pretty happy with the performance over the weekend. I don't think I'm going to replicate that anytime soon, though.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I do love getting those games of CDH in. So I don't know how many we're gonna do with that sample size, but hey, 75% is not a bad win rate to start with, right?
If I could keep up that win rate, we'd have tens of thousands of subscribers, and I would have people calling me.
At least for now, we can be on top of the world. I did not do so well with my CDH deck. I made some changes afterwards, but I did win one of the games. I snuck out with 1 win with my first sliver, and that was an interesting game. And now I know what it's like to get everything that you try and play countered, but that's where Underworld Breach comes in clutch, right? So that was a lot of fun. And then I believe, so I played an extra game of casual just on the Friday. I think I don't remember I think you were getting cards signed,
yep,
Adam, but I think we also got to play another one on Friday night, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if you were there, but that was also in the hotel, right?
Yeah, because yeah. We did. You're right.
Yeah. I was gonna say, yeah.
I think I lost that. You took that one, didn't you?
I almost had that one until my entire deck got I got milled out, and then I didn't have anything. I was thinking if there was a way that I could throw something back, but I didn't have access to anything. So that one was tough.
The gentleman that we brought into the pod was the one who won, I believe, right?
Yeah, because he was playing the. Was he playing the?
He was playing
Ruvac?
the Azorius life gain mill commander from Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
The uncommon.
Yeah, that's right. It was Azorius because that's what mine was too. So that one was fun. Yeah, I did lose that. I think I won. I won my game that I played with Azuri on like Friday during the day, and then I actually got the chance to. It was really fun to play like a little 1v1 on my plane ride back. So that was a lot of fun. I won't count that as much though because it was it was a 1v1, less of a pod, but that was so awesome. Kind of like what we were saying earlier. It's like you can just walk up to anybody and they play Magic. It's like you kind of you got that in common. And they're just the coolest people I've ever met. So with that, those are all our games. Did our events, and I think the only other thing that we did, Adam, was go to a couple panels.
Yeah, we got to see all the cool stuff that's coming up in 2026, as well as all the Secret Lair stuff that's going to be kind of bringing us through the rest of 2025. Actually, no, I think it's just the one super drop that we got to see. But we saw it was the October
we saw the
13th.
Scare super drop.
Yeah.
I think and then there's also a like a countdown thing. I forgot exactly what it's called. Whatever, I think what it is like a unique card for every letter of the alphabet, but they haven't really said anything about that.
Yeah, they've given us a few
yet.
previews for that, but I don't recall if that was actually at the panel. We had to cut the Secret Lair panel about a half an hour short because we had to make it over to our mystery booster too. Full disclosure, we didn't have to leave that early, but I was worried that we weren't going to get there in time because none of us had done any ticketed play events, so we didn't know how early we had to show up. So I'll take
to be
ownership
fair,
for that.
all the stuff got it's not even that. It's like that stuff got so delayed because of just the chaos with all these events going on and all these people trying to get registered and people not showing up, all this stuff. So I think we got delayed like at least a half hour.
Yeah, and everything was just delayed because people went to time in these matches and all that stuff. So I'm sure all these other events that were going late was causing staffing issues. So
Definitely. So shout out to all the staff. They really did a great job.
Oh yeah, fantastic job.
Keeping everything smooth across everything. Especially the command zone. Those guys in the command zone were the best. Getting people down for pods. That was really awesome.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So the first panel was our preview panel, and we have 7 sets.
Yep.
So we have 7 sets in 2026. We don't know what the sets are in 27, but they did say it's going to be 6, so they're going to go down after that. But we only have preview cards for one of the sets in 26, which is Lorwyn.
Well, we also got
and they
some
talked a little bit.
We got some from Marvel Superheroes as well.
Did we get cards from that
Only
one,
a
or
few.
did we just
very,
did they just say
very, very low number.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember the cards. I know they talked about they showed like an art off.
Yeah, that as well.
But and talked about some characters, but yeah. So we can really quick Lorwyn. I know Adam, you're excited for that one. Do you have any initial thoughts on Lorwyn? Some of the stuff we saw.
I mean, I know you're not a huge fan, but I am. I love Lorwyn. I think it's a very cool plane. I know it's not one of the most exciting and one of the most popular planes, but it's been a long time since we've been on Lorwyn. I like that they're combining the two light and dark planes in Lorwyn Eclipsed, and we're seeing different versions of a lot of the legends, and I like that the dual-sided cards are really good to represent that. And then they also previewed the 5 light and dark Shocklands, so we're going to be getting double-faced Shockland reprints with different arts on each side that I think look really, really sweet. I'm excited to see those. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say with Lorwyn, I was a little underwhelmed just at some of the cards that they showed, but I will say after going to the Play to Win live, they turned me around on like 1 or 2 of them. I've always loved original Sig, and I think it's really cool that he's getting a reprint. I wasn't super big on the card, but then they talked about it a little bit, and I think it has some potential, but I think we'll see what else comes alongside it. And that mechanic with those double-sided cards, I think what it is from all the ones that we've seen, it's generally the same. They're 2 colors, and you pay 1 pip of one of the colors to transform it, but you can only do it like what at the beginning of your first main phase or something like that. So it's kind of weird. I don't like that restriction where you just can only do it once a turn. It's like at a specific time. You know, it's interesting. I think they're saving some heat for sure. I know that a lot of people are really hyped for it, and they sounded really excited for this whole set. So I think they'll drop some cool stuff. We really only saw like what, maybe 10, 15 cards max.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't see too many.
So, yeah. But it will be exciting. Hey, Avatar is in the forefront. And then after that, you know, we obviously have some stuff to be excited about. Past Lorwyn, we didn't really hear too much. There's going to be an unannounced Universes Beyond set, which I guess is going to be revealed at Comic-Con in, what is it, a couple weeks? Or not Comic-Con, something.
Yeah, it's a con in New York coming up.
Yeah. And then after that, we have Secrets of Strixhaven, which sounds cool because I actually missed the first Strixhaven. That was one of the sets I decided to skip. But there were some really cool cards that came out of it, so I think that's going to be a lot of fun to come back. Adam, I think you had a lot of fun with Strixhaven, right?
Oh, so much fun. The Mystical Archive was just so good. All those, just so many playable reprints in a great style, in addition to the Japanese alternate arts that everybody loves, myself included. We got some cool legends, you know, kind of not necessarily Return of the Guilds, but definitely we got to see some legends and some cards in the different colleges, or I guess schools, that were versions of the guilds that we got to see sort of different they encompass different strategies that we normally didn't see from those guilds. So I thought those were kind of mold breaking in the format. Big fan.
Yeah, that's the one cool thing about Strixhaven. So I actually am a big Ravnica fan. That's my favorite plane. I love all the guilds. I think that their, you know, flavor and everything that goes along with it is just really on point. But yeah, Strixhaven, you know, kind of takes like, you know, a little bit of a turn from that. They're similar, but they really are unique, and I think that's what was a lot of fun about it. So Secrets of Strixhaven, I feel like we have a lot to look forward to there. After that, in June, is going to be another Universes Beyond Marvel Superheroes, which I guess we did see a couple cards, but from what I understand, it's mostly like Avengers and Fantastic Four. I did see some X-Men in there. They have some really cool characters, some deep cuts. I mean, Squirrel Girl, I think Mark Rosewater was excited for. And then we have, I think I caught an eye of Jubilee, some other, you know, not, you know, main like A-list Avengers or whatnot. So that should be a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool art, just like they did just now in this Spider-Man set for sure. And then after that, The Hobbit, which is, I guess, you know, Lord of the Rings Part 2. So pretty straightforward of what we can expect there. Following that, Reality Fracture, which according to Mark Rosewater is supposed to be the next like big War of the Spark, Brothers War level set to round out the story that I think they started. I don't know if you remember what set they said, Adam, where this story arc started.
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I haven't paid enough attention, I guess, to the story as of late. But it does sound cool. They're really excited for it, so I'm expecting big things. Because if you're going to compare it to War of the Spark, Brothers War, those were some big sets to follow.
Pretty good ones, yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously Star Trek, which I think needs no explanation. That is going to be something special. But after that, immediately following that panel was the Secret Lair preview panel or party. I think they call it a party, right?
Yeah,
reveal
Secret
party,
Lair reveal
yes.
party.
And so there were quite a few drops that they previewed, and there are 3 that I really want to talk about. But before we talk about those, we'll just kind of list the other ones that they did. So Dreaming Darkly had just like this little 4-card set with some really cool art. They were doing the 2 Iron Maiden Secret Lairs. I personally, you know, maybe I'm just a little too young for it, too out of touch, but never got too big into Iron Maiden. But the art is really nice. It's really nice. It's, I know, really close to, you know, their album arts is a lot of what they base that off of, and it looks really good. The trick or treat one is a little cute idea. Some of my kids wearing Halloween costumes, but I'll be honest, the legends that they chose were a little underwhelming for me personally. And then Adam's favorite, 3 Furby sets. So but before we get into the rest, Adam, you have any thoughts about Furby? I know you've been saying so much about it already this weekend.
Let me move my keyboard before things get any more crazy. But this sucks. I am so incredibly not a fan of this. I mean, the reprints are kind of bad. I mean, it's fitting. I don't think anyone's going to buy this Secret Lair. This is going to be one of the ones that they're giving out for cheap when they open the Chaos Vault. Like, they're going to have so many piles of this Secret Lair. Like, nobody cares. It's a kid's toy. Like, nobody cares that this kid's toy is in this Secret Lair. Like, nobody wanted this. The only silver lining in this Secret Lair is that I like that they incorporated Magic the Gathering characters with Furbies. I like how if they're gonna do these weird secret lairs, I like that at least in some of the arts they have, Magic the Gathering characters, holding Furbies or playing with Furbies. Like at least there's some level of immersion there. But beyond that, not a fan. Out of here. Get it out of here.
Yeah, no. And they had to do 3, which is crazy.
3?
I can't I can't tell you a single person that I talked to or overheard saying, "Oh, I'm so excited for the Furby set. The Furby layers look so awesome. I'm so happy that we're like, this is what I wanted all along was Furby Magic cards." Like, no. Like, everyone's complaining like this is so dumb. And the very first thing that I think they showed, like the very first graphic that we saw, or no, it was the video, because we left like right when they finished playing this video. They showed all like the best cards before we realized that there were 3 entire drops. So I saw those cards and walking out of the panel, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Why are they putting all the best reprints in this garbage Secret Lair? Because I thought that it was going to be the Soul Ring, Hullbreaker Horror, and all those better ones.
When you say best reprints, I think Thomas means playable cards, not necessarily value. The Furby Secret Lairs have pretty much nothing in regards to value, but all the cards are playable. So you can replace the Soul Ring in your deck with the Furby one if you are mentally ill, perhaps.
Yeah, they don't even look good. Like,
yeah, well, okay,
like,
I mean,
I'll be
the art is
honest.
okay. I'm just
It's okay.
It's
There's so many other Soul Rings I would rather play than that.
Yeah,
know?
it breaks it a little bit. I don't think I will be purchasing a Furby Soul Ring anytime soon. I think I'm good on that.
So I hope that Wizards cleared a lot of shelf room for this, because they're gonna stick around for a while.
Yeah.
But now let's get into the big ticket items.
The
And
good
I think, Adam, this is one that we had. You had a thought about it, and then when they sent the official post, I think it was on Goldfish or whatever, I think you were a little bit surprised. So this is the Artist Series. Do you want to go through these cards and what your original thoughts were, and kind of knowing the information we know now?
Yeah, I mean, all considering the fact that this is still going to be a $40 Secret Lair, which shocked me.
Is that a reference?
This Secret Lair is packed with value. I mean, you get an Armageddon, a Northern Paladin, a Demonic Tutor, and a Lord of the Pit, all in arguably some of the best art we've ever seen. These are like the full art versions with the partially transparent text box. I mean, the art is stunning. Kieran did an amazing job on this stuff. But this one, if it's even possible, I will most likely be picking up a copy of the Secret Lair, because not only are these cards very playable, they're just some of the best arts we've ever seen for these cards overall.
I think just in general, this drop is going to be really tough, because we're going to have all these people, out here trying to get their Furby Secret Lairs. This queue is going to be crazy, right?
Yeah, they're going to be clogging up the website trying to buy their Furby Soul Rings.
Yeah, no, but hopefully we can snag one of these. I'm hoping this one kind of goes under the radar a little bit. I know people see the Demonic Tutor and that was big, but then I think this one definitely got overlooked by everything else. Everything else is kind of getting pushed, especially the next two that we're about to talk about. And I think that maybe is why they announced it first, because if we go to the next drop, right? It's gonna be the Secret Lair, the Jaws collab, which they made a real big deal about this one, and I think for good reason. It's a mechanically unique card, this Jaws Relentless Predator, and one thing I will say too, because I think you mentioned it at the time, Adam, is that every single one of these like drops had their own like little promo video, which some of them were like pretty cool. This one was pretty sweet. It was the same thing with the Star Trek set, where like you said, black screen, then all of a sudden the stars come in, and then we heard the theme. It was kind of the same thing with Jaws. It was like black like water, and then we heard the da da, right? Or, well, I can't sing, wrong key, whatever. But you get the point. You heard the whole event hall kind of.
It was really clever the way they had the corner of the card, and the corner of the card was sticking out of the water that looked like a shark fin. I thought that was pretty clever.
But without any further ado, Adam, would you like to read Jaws Relentless Predator, our new mechanically unique card?
Yeah, so this is Jaws Relentless Predator is 3 and 2 red for a legendary shark that's a 5/5. And whenever Jaws deals combat damage to a player, create that many blood tokens. Second ability reads, whenever a non-creature artifact is sacrificed or destroyed, Jaws deals 1 damage to each opponent.
And he has Trample and Haste.
Yes, with Trample and Haste. And then some of the other cards we're getting are all other reprints. So we have Descent into Avernus, reprinted as Panic on Amity Island, Reckless Endeavor, Sneak Attack, a Braid printed as You're Gonna Need a Bigger Boat, and a Blood token, which is a very charming looking bucket of chum.
Yeah, first of all, the Sneak Attack is amazing. That is an amazing include. The one thing I'll say, well, the art on the Jaws card is beautiful. Chef's kiss, perfect. I love this. I think it's really cool. It's nice that it's kind of a win con in the command zone, right? I personally haven't played with blood tokens, but I've played against people using blood tokens, and I know there's some really cool stuff you can do with them. I know that this is in mono red, so you are missing out on a lot of the black cards that will do that for you. But hey, in mono red, there's still so much you can do. And I've heard people talking about how you can build this, and I think the big way people are doing it, unfortunately, missing out on the dock side, but a lot of people are saying treasures is the way to go, which I think is pretty obvious there. Whenever you're sacking treasures, pinging the table. Whenever I think other people sack treasures too, so you can actually do sort of like a group hug type of thing, but group slug, afterwards, once they go to try and use it. So there's a lot of really, really neat avenues that I think have even yet to be explored with this one.
Well, I think it's nice that, nice and interesting. They build Jaws in a very good thematic way with, whenever it hits someone, it creates a bunch of blood. Like, that makes sense. But then 2 of the cards in the Secret Lair are undeniably going to be auto-includes in the deck, but they don't do anything with blood tokens. They create treasures. So, like, the Secret Lair is leading you to a better way to play this deck than was even designed, which, good or bad, here we are. I thought it was interesting that they did it that way. But there are some nice cards, if you're going to build a deck, pretty much all of the cards in the lair will go in the deck. So that's always good.
Yeah, I will say I've looked a little bit into an actual build around this, and yeah, I haven't even spent a thought on the blood token side of it. But I will say, I mean, it is kind of cool as like a little secondary thing where, whatever happens to Jaws, you can always hack in and get some value there, because, having a big 5/5 trample haste commander is not the worst thing to have, depending on what you build around it. So, but that is going to be a lot of fun, and I cannot wait to start playing around with that deck. But finally, last thing that they revealed for the Secret Lair panel, it's actually the one that I'm kind of the most excited for. This is the Secret Lair and The Office collab, and it's Dwight's Destiny. And it was really cool because the video that they played for it, I don't know, maybe I was like a little bit slow. I'm sure some people probably picked up on it a little bit sooner than I did, but they basically did like an Office like promo video where they, there was some Easter eggs that were like, something from The Office or doing, like, it was in the style, and I didn't pick up on that at first, and then they actually started like giving like a couple clues by doing like some cuts and all this stuff, and then it all came together, and at the very end you saw Rainn Wilson come in and say, hey, just like announce it. It was really sweet. And then we finally saw the cards, and I will say these are beautiful. The flavors there, the reprints are actually pretty decent, especially because we got the Swords to Plowshares. I'm always going to love a new Swords to Plowshares, you know us. But we are also getting Steel Shaper's Gift as Dwight's weapon stash. We have Heliod Suncrowned as Dwight Schrute Hay King, which is awesome. That was a really cool episode. We have Reaper King as Dwight O'Lantern, which is it's so awesome. The art on all of these cards, especially this one. And then we have Garrick Relentless and Garrick the Veil Curse, the flip commander, as Recyclops Eco-Friendly, and then Recyclops Nature's Vengeance. And this one feels straight out of Lorwyn almost, with the light and the dark side, right? That little cold open with Recyclops. It's really awesome. They really hit the highlights here. And then finally, I think this is arguably probably thematically like the best card. We have Baral, Chief of Compliance, as Dwight Assistant to the King, which is so awesome. Swords of Plowshares, obviously that's it's the big card I have on my radar. But even the rest, I think it would just be really cool to just have. What are you thinking, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, the art's pretty good. This one sort of suffers from the same problem in my mind as the Furby Secret Lair. I am a fairly big Office fan, not to near the extent that you are, or a lot of the hyper Office fans, which I get. I watched the show, I enjoyed it. To me, this feels a bit off, but I totally understand. I mean, the Swords of Plowshares is pretty sweet. I mean, just those pecs alone are kind of distracting me right now, but yeah, it's overall good, and the reprints are always great. I mean, I don't believe Reaper King has had another reprint to date, so it is nice to see, even if it isn't a Secret Lair, having a nice reprint there is always good. Yeah,
Does he not have one more?
I don't believe.
Is there not one more?
Yeah, I don't believe the Reaper King has ever been reprinted. I might be wrong.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up right now. It looks like there. I mean, there's a promo. It looks like.
Ladies.
Oh no, there's a Secret Lair. I think. There's a Secret Lair that looks exactly like the original art, just facing the other way. That's it. So,
yeah.
This is a cool one to have then.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a good reprint to have, regardless of the art or whatnot.
Yeah. Well, I do kind of get where you're coming from, I guess, with it maybe not making sense, because I think something that you mentioned earlier was the fact that the Marvel stuff makes sense because it's like fantasy, and you said like The Office was about like real life stuff. Is that?
Yeah, that was sort of my gist, but also I think it's just because, I mean, obviously there's so many universes beyond, and they don't feel like Magic, but it's so hard to reconcile the two different. I hate to say this is a vibe pick, but it's so hard to reconcile the two different vibes of The Office and Magic the Gathering. But if you like this set, I can't fault you. The art is pretty sweet, and I do love the TV show.
Well, because the thing I'll say too is that we got like what Princess Bride and then Monty Python Secret Lairs at one point. And
yeah, that is true. I didn't hate those.
Those are about like fantasy like movies, so I'll give you that. But it also was like real people, so it's like two sides to it. And hey, to some people, The Office is like a fantasy, I guess. Some people dream about that 8 hours in a cubicle. So.
Yeah, working for the man.
Never know. Exactly. Working for the man, working for Michael Scott. All right. So, Adam, that concludes kind of everything that was announced at the con. mostly everything that we did. Was there anything else kind of still lingering on your mind, just about the whole experience and maybe looking towards the future? Anything else?
Just such a great time. I mean, I can't say it enough. I mean, I think we'll be back at MagicCon next year. Just kind of fleshing out the details on which one we'll be going to, and when we decide on that, we'll let you guys know which one we plan on attending. But just an amazing weekend overall.
Yeah, I think my last thought, which has kind of been going through my mind, I think since I woke up yesterday to go to the airport, and then basically all day today, is like, dang, I really could just see that being my life. Imagine that, like every day you're just 10 hours just playing Magic all day, every day, and you got nothing else to think about. I did not want to leave. I'll tell you that much. I did not want to go back home, go back to work. I would have been more than happy to just do that for the foreseeable future. But anyway, I think that there was one other thing that we did get at the con, and Adam, I think you might want to shed some light on that.
So this is going to be our first giveaway. So this giveaway is going to be for when we reach 100 subscribers and or followers on Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify. Once we do that, we will be giving away the gorgeous Edge of Eternity's MagicCon exclusive playmat. This is brand new, straight from the con. I'm keeping it in a very safe place right now, and as soon as we get that, we will announce some more details on how we're going to pick a winner of the giveaway. So run up all the socials, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell everybody we're going to do a giveaway.
Yeah, stay tuned. Giveaway is going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully, like Adam said, throw it around. We'll try and get that done soon, and then in the future, we would love to keep doing stuff like this. So, hopefully this one goes well. Like we said, we'll have some more details for that soon. Looking forward, I think next year we will definitely be back. Not to Vegas. I think, Adam, we're talking about the other two, right? I believe next year it's going to be Atlanta and Amsterdam. Correct? Yeah. So one of those two. If you guys have already made your decision, hey, drop it down below. And if you were at MagicCon Atlanta this weekend, let us know how it was. If we met you there, we had such a great time, and you were part of the reason that it was so special for us. So we really, truly wanted to say thank you for that. And other than that, Adam, is there anything else that you would like to say before we get out of here? Awesome.
So thank you guys so much for watching. We will catch you in the next episode. Make sure to like and subscribe and tell all your friends about us to hopefully push us closer to that 100 mark so we can do that giveaway.
Yep, definitely. Thank you guys. See ya.